What is going on at Notre Dame, especially with the offensive coordinator position? To set the scene for you a little bit, Andy Ludwig, the offensive coordinator for Utah, took a visit to South Bend, Indiana. And everybody saw him and Marcus Freeman at the Notre Dame hockey game. So when you see a potential offensive coordinator with your head coach in an extremely public setting, where I promised you all parties involved understand that's a public setting, and it's not a surprise when there is stuff on Twitter and video of Marcus Freeman and Andy Ludwig at the hockey game together. That's not a surprise. When that happens, the assumption becomes, okay, we got our guy. And Marcus Freeman felt comfortable enough to be seen in public with this potential offensive coordinator. Felt comfortable enough that he was going to get him to be seen in public. Do you see what I'm saying here? Now, Pete Thamel of ESPN reports that he's not going to be the next OC, is Andy Ludwig. And a piece of that, and this is really the kicker for Notre Dame fans, a piece of that, one of the major obstacles was the buyout that Notre Dame would have had to pay to get Andy Ludwig to be the OC. And that number is $2.8 million. Now, they would also have had to, would have liked to also get Jim Harding, the offensive lineman coach from Utah. And his assumed buyout is $1.2 million. So right around $4 million. And far be it for me to tell you that $4 million isn't a lot of money, okay, because it is. But at the exact same time, the teams that you want to leapfrog, the teams that you want to compete with on a national stage, they're paying that amount to get their guys in-house. They're paying that buyout to get the coaches that are required to compete at the level they expect. And so here's why it's frustrating for Notre Dame fans. And I feel you on this. It feels like you don't care enough as an administration at Notre Dame to get to where we expect to be as a fan base. You don't care enough to go and pay this amount to get us the OC that we need, that we believe we need to allow Marcus Freeman to be more successful in 2023. Because how do you judge the way that someone cares about something? Lip service is great. Yeah, we care about football. We're all about football here at Notre Dame, tradition and pageantry and all that. We love it. Okay, cool. That's great. I appreciate that if I'm a Notre Dame fan. But how do you measure how much you care? By the lengths you are willing to go to inconvenience yourself to support it. $4 million, y'all. $2.8 million for Andy Ludwig to be your next OC. And for how well endowed Notre Dame is, for all the people involved around Notre Dame that have a lot of cash, to not be able to get this buyout done, what's the point? What are we doing here? You can't tell me we want to compete with Bama, we want to compete with Georgia, we want to win national titles, but we're not willing to pay to get the right OC? Come on now. Notre Dame fans, I'm with you on this one, man. I'm with you on this. I would imagine there's probably more information that's being kept in-house that maybe we're not getting here, or I would hope that's the case. But to go in a public setting in front of everybody essentially implies, hey, we got our guy. And for that to not be a reality, and for the report to be an obstacle was the buyout of $2.8 million, another 1.2 to get the O-line coach to make it $4 million. Like, is that not worth a championship? Can we not invest that on the front end to get ourselves to the college football playoff and compete for national titles? I got more thoughts on this, but if you have not yet subscribed, would love to have you a part of this community. College football content every single day. We're live tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Coming out with us, we'll have a good time. Also, follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at JDPakel. I want to hear more from y'all on this topic. So hit me in my DMs, comment on this video, all that. Brian Kelly, when he left Notre Dame and went to LSU and made the media rounds, if we're reading between the lines, what he was essentially saying about why he left Notre Dame is he felt like, and I'm paraphrasing and I'm implying a little bit, he felt like he didn't have everything that he needed to succeed at Notre Dame. Some of that felt like it was on the recruiting trail. Some of that felt like maybe it was resources. I don't know exactly what he was referring to, but I can't help but have that echo in the back of my mind start to have the volume just a little bit louder. Because LSU, and Notre Dame fans, this is not going to be fun to hear, but LSU's making that payment to get their OC. LSU's going to the lengths to get their staff assembled. And if you're Notre Dame, you expect to compete with LSU's on a national scale, at least on the recruiting trail. This is why it's frustrating. So for Notre Dame, if you're the administration, you cannot provide Marcus Freeman subpar tools and expect to get elite results. Like, I can't give you some ground beef and say, okay, come back with a ribeye steak. That's not how this whole thing works. You invest to get a product. It's input to equate to output. So show me that you care to the level that you care. We're going to do our best with your financial version of how much you care, and we're going to make it happen for you. But if I tell you I need X and you say, hey, that's too expensive, but everybody else around me has those resources, how are we going to adequately get a judge on Marcus Freeman? How are we going to adequately take a temperature for his success as a head coach? I don't think that's realistic, and I don't think that's fair. And I think it's a shame that that's the reality we have right now with Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, because I think he can coach. One of the best young coaches in college football before he took Notre Dame head coaching job. I think Notre Dame was wise to lock him up as the head coach there. But you got to give him the tools for success. Otherwise, we will never get an accurate gauge for what he can be as a head coach if you're not helping him assemble this staff. So where to now for Notre Dame? What is the next step? Well, they're interviewing Gerard Parker, who's an offensive assistant. He's already on staff. And the awkward part of this is, well, hey, we didn't get Andy Ludwig for one reason or another. Didn't get Colin Klein, the OC from Kansas State. So that's 0 for 2 on, you would imagine, your top two choices. So now you go to the third person, and the third person's in-house, and it's never fun to come to the third person where everybody knows that's your third choice. For all parties involved, for Gerard Parker, for Notre Dame fans, for the Notre Dame operation, you're saying, okay, yes, this is our third choice. Can we make this work? Now, they could make it work. I am not predicting that this is going to be, if he's hired, a unsuccessful venture. But it's just an awkward foot to start off on if you're Notre Dame with Gerard Parker. And the other reality of this is spring ball is coming here very, very soon. It is going to be here before you know it, and you cannot install a new offense in fall camp. So what I'm telling you is, whoever the play caller is in South Bend, they need to have that decided by the time spring football gets here. Because if you're trying to install a new offense in August, you got issues, okay? We saw how that worked for a lot of these teams during the COVID year. And some of that was on Zoom, so I want to be gentle with how I describe that, but you got to have your play caller by spring to compete at the level which you expect to compete at in South Bend. So for Notre Dame, we'll keep an eye on this. Wish nothing but the best for the good people in South Bend. For the Fighting Irish faithful, hang in there, stay strong. This is not the end of the story, but it's obviously a very bad look, and we're all on the same page there, hoping and praying that the good folks in charge of Notre Dame will give Marcus Freeman what he needs to succeed so the Fighting Irish can compete how they expect to compete. This has been The Hard Count. Nick Brake lifting heavy. This is your show. Cannot say it enough. This is the People Show. Everything that you know and love about this beautiful game, we talk about it here every single day. So make sure you're locked in. Again, we're live tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. Come join us, hang out. We'll have a real good time. Follow me on the socials at JD Pakel on Twitter as well as on Instagram. We're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.